Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a video talking all about how to enhance your resume. I'm going to be going through all the resumes that I have done throughout the past through I guess like end of high school, beginning of college, through college and now having my first full-time job. So I kind of want to go through like the evolution of my resumes and kind of the tips and tricks I've used to help enhance them over the years and kind of showcase the best qualities that you want to present whenever you are putting together your resume. I do have a list of specific points that I want to go over in this video, but I first want to just kind of show you guys, I think I have 4 different resumes from like 2016, and I just want to kind of like do a brief overview of those and compare them up front, and then I'm going to kind of break down the differences I have between them and, like I said, the things that I did to kind of make them better overall. Enhancing your resume is super important if you are obviously looking for a job, or even if you're still in school and you kind of just want to have it ready on hand, especially if you're still getting like internships or student positions. That's what I did. I had 2 different student jobs in college, and it really helped prepare me up for my first job, and I was just able to keep a resume up to date all through school, and that really helped when it was time for me to start applying for full-time positions. So yeah, I definitely think my resume has developed over the years, and I've been able to make it really branded to myself and really clean and simple, and something that is obviously going to be appealing to either job recruiters or just my professional portfolio. I want to have something that looks nice and showcases everything about me. So I'm not going to talk too much more in this intro. I'm just going to go ahead and start like a screen recording and show you guys some of my resumes and different things I do to improve them. Okay, as you can see, this is my resume from August of 2016. So this was the resume I used at the very end of high school. I graduated in 2016, so it would have been starting college. I was looking for a student position, and I used this resume for the first job I applied to, which I got, so it was obviously successful. Even though this is obviously a very basic resume, and I think it's definitely improved over the course of me making new ones. So up here in the top corner, I just kind of blinked out my personal information. Like up here I had my address, email address, and phone number. So other than that, obviously I have my first and last name, and that was something I did like to include in my resumes. I don't know if that's so necessary anymore unless you're like mailing it out or bringing it in person. I definitely think it's helpful. But if you're just going to post it on your like LinkedIn or just have like a PDF to send people, it's not always necessary. I would have your email address and phone number at least, but I'm not gonna like post that out anyways. Like I actually have 2 different versions. I have like the one that I have posted, which doesn't have my phone number, but it does have my email, and then the ones I sent out to job recruiters did have the rest of my information. So it's kind of a good idea overall to make maybe 2 different versions, one that you want public and one that you're going to be sending out to different jobs. And then here I just have my objective and resume profile, which is like that general statement that kind of just talks about what you are looking for, not only in like a job, but also highlight some of your skills. And I want to say I'm not like a super professional, and I didn't like go through all this like career training in school and have those. I know they had like those resources though where you could go and like really learn how to tailor your resume. This is just my personal experience and things that I've developed, but I think there's always room for improvement, and I'm like no expert by any means. So here I just have like a statement about I wanting to apply my skills in film and photography, graphic design, and then this was specific to the position I had at USF when I was in school. And that is one of my tips that I'm going to go into, that you should tailor your resume whenever you're sending out to have that position in your objective. So you want to make sure that your resume is always editable so you can make changes based on what you're applying to. Next, I just have my education section here. I'm not going to go into all of this. I'm just showing you guys like the basic layout. My education, it's obviously talking about high school. Some of my experience and skills, again, in high school. So I only have like 3, and they're mostly like from classes I took. And then I kind of reiterate that here in relevant high school studies, and then I have my honors, awards, and memberships. This is my next resume from July of 2018. So this would have been like halfway through college, I guess-ish. And this was after I had my first position, and I think after my 2 years, you only had that position, you can only have the student position for 2 years, and then I had to get another one. So this is when I was applying to my second job. And then I kind of moved the header to just have my name on the top with my contact information again, and then I actually have like a little thin pink line here, which is like my little design element, still to keep it really simple. As you'll see in the rest of my resumes, I do like to keep some kind of design element and branding, but I definitely like kind of figured that out by trial and error, because my next one you'll see is like kind of a lot, and then I kind of simplified it a little bit more. But this was like the start of like having anything, because like I feel like usually they tell you should just have your resume just like text and really simple, easy to read, but especially if you're in like my field, I'm in like design and advertising, you want to be able to showcase that and have it a little more interesting. That obviously depends on the career and field you're in, of course. Sorry, I keep itching my shoulder, so it's like turning red. So here I just have my objective, really similar to the last one, and I left this blank because this was just like my editable document that I would go and change based on the job I was applying to. And I'd also go in and like change some of the details if I wanted to based on that at school, and I was able to put my USF stats like as of that moment. Like I have a little current section, and then experience. This is kind of like a mix of high school and college since I again was like halfway through. Skills and tools, honors, and awards. So this is my third resume from January of 2019, and this is where I wanted to get a lot more into the design aspect and bring in some color, make it really fun. So I loved like the light pink kind of blush neutral color, and looking back I'm like, this is definitely a little too pink. But I mean, I guess it's still fun and people will do this and incorporate different colors and patterns they like, which I don't think is a bad thing. Oh my gosh, my shoulder looks so bad now. I enlarged my name in this one and then had a smaller line with all of my information. Again, I still had my high school info on, or like under the education tab, but I was able to update my USF stuff. Still had an objective here. Experience has gotten a little bit longer since I did get my second job at USF. Skills and tools, honors, awards, and memberships, and volunteer work I actually added onto this one. I know that's kind of like an iffy, like if it's necessary or not. I think I had this version specifically for volunteer work included, and then I had another one without that just in case I didn't need it. As you see, this one on the design, I inserted like a sidebar, which I think is like a really good way to make yourself have more room, and also adding that design element, which I will go into later. And then my last and most current resume is this one. I still have the sidebar element, but it's like a very neutral gray tan kind of color, which is a lot easier on the eyes, I think. And I left the header really simple. I kind of changed up the font and made it more my branding that I have consistent throughout my portfolio, my resume, and everything else. Definitely played with the fonts and spacing a little bit to make it, again, easier to read and see. And I was able to eliminate a lot of my high school stuff at this point, since this was after I was done with college and I was looking for my first full-time job. They're going to want to see your college information rather than high school. So this helped create a lot more room since I wasn't having so much information packed into one. But yeah, that was just an overview of all my different resumes, and now I'm just going to go through some of the tips and specifics, and I'll probably revisit some of those and pull them back up to show you guys kind of what I'm talking about. So first thing, kind of how I touched on, is to add some sort of design elements and create a template. As you see, I kind of took the one that I had previous to my current one, and I kind of enhanced that and kept the same layout, but just made it a little bit better. So once you figure out what kind of template is good for you, and will include all of your information while still not being too much to look at, use that and kind of make tweaks here and there if you want to like update it every so often, maybe change the color slightly or add some more information, take away information. You'll have at least that original template that you can just take and copy and change as the years go on. I obviously was just doing kind of like a Word document at first, but I really suggest using either like InDesign or Photoshop to have more of that capability to make a template and have something that's more design focused and easier to read. Another overall rule is to just keep your text minimal, and like I just said, to take out any high school information if you are past that point. Of course, if you're just going into college and you're still looking for those kind of positions, then keeping your high school info. But overall, you just want to make sure you're including as least amount as possible, but still showing what you need to show and giving the information that you want to provide. So as you can see back on this one, this just looks like a lot of information, and I really, that's why I wanted to redo it, and I ended up doing my current version, because I just thought this was way too much. Because even though the difference is slight, just taking out a little bit of that info made this a lot easier to read, and like I said, just adjusting some of the spacing and stuff. You want to make your work that you're listing relevant to not only your major, the field you want to go into, and the jobs you're applying to. So you're going to want to go through every time you're tailoring your resume to send out to either a job or posting it somewhere. You want to make sure all the work that you have listed is relevant. You don't want to put that you were in some kind of class or position that has nothing to do with the direction you're trying to go in. At least for me, a lot of my experience, both high school and college, was directly related to graphic design, marketing, design. All of that was kind of already in my experience. So I just kind of went through and chose what might fit best. So you don't want to include everything, just the things that are very, very relevant. I also want to, in the design, create space where possible. I kind of already touched on that. It's just a readability thing. So in my most recent one, as you can see, I left spaces in between at the sidebar here to kind of differentiate those sections, as well as there's white space here. And just between everything, you want it to be really pleasing to the eye and not just look like an overload of text. So even with my middle 2018 resume, as you see here, all of these paragraphs that are just kind of smushed together and taking up the whole width of the page makes it a little bit harder to read, and that's why I really like incorporating the sidebar, because you have all of that room to kind of stack the things that are not as long. So that's actually another tip I have, is if you want to input something on the side, you can do things like your skills and tools, like something like this could stack like one, like take this part and put it under here, and it's not taking up the width, and you can kind of break things up into sections and make it a lot more easier to digest. Now, even though I've been talking about doing some kind of a design element or bringing in some colors and fun things, I don't think you should go too overboard with that. So I would say avoid too many colors and graphics. So even when I had that one that seemed like kind of a lot with the pink, I only had the 2 shades that were very close together and kind of positioned them where it wasn't like overlapping or too much at once. And then as you saw in my recent one, I just stuck to one color, black and white, and like a tan kind of taupe shade. So I think just limiting that to, again, bring in something interesting rather than just a plain Word document, but not going too overboard, will definitely enhance your resume overall. And something else you want to do is make all of your headers clear. And I think I was able to pretty much do that in all of my different resumes. Even my very first one, as you see here, I was able to kind of differentiate the titles. This wasn't the best way to do it. I just like increased the spacing between the letters and just kind of give it that design aspect. I still really I think this looks nice. It's still minimal and it gets the point across and has all your info. But I think just adding a little bit more and doing it a little more strategically is better. But again, you can see this is very clear where the titles are. This one is probably my least favorite. This is the 2018 one, and just everything looked smushed to me, and I didn't lay it out correctly, and I didn't even increase any of the spacing between any of the titles, so it looks really crunched together to me. So this isn't the best example, even though the letters are in all caps. Here I did differentiate the titles by having, again, all caps, a different color, but it still is really crunched up with all the information. So this was a way to still enhance the titles in sections, but I think my last resume was the best example of this. So again, here, once I perfected like all the different fonts I wanted to use and the sizing, it really helped show what these sections are. Even though there's not as many, I really only have my experience and profile on the right side, and then it's just my skills and education on the left. But you are able to at least see the differences, and I'm able to create kind of like a bolder attention grabber with all the section titles. When you're putting together your skills and tools, you want to make sure they're relevant but also unique. So you do want them to tie into your field and exactly what you're applying for or looking to do, but you also want to stand out. So even if it's like everyone in your field typically has the same skills, you want to make sure if there is anything that's a little bit above that standard, you want to include that so it does make you stand out and shows that you've like gone above and beyond what most people already have in their skills. So I'm going to go through on my recent resume some of my skills and tools. Something I like to do too, as you can see, is I differentiated those into sections as well. So I used to have, I think, just like all the different programs I could use or some of my like more general skills. But here you can see that I divided it by social media management, and then the programs I'm skilled at within that: web design and management, graphic design, photography, and film production. So this shows all the different programs into categories, which shows a broader range of my skills while also focusing on the specific tasks that I can do. And I also put my Adobe Certified Associate award underneath photography because I got certified in Photoshop. So instead of having like a whole different section that says like honors and awards, I was able to incorporate that into my skills and tools section, which definitely helps with taking away some of that heavy text and will still highlight some of your achievements. I think some of my other honors were like things in my sorority and different things I was awarded in college, which is nice to feature. But at the same time, I show here that I had a position in my sorority, so I think it's like you don't want to go too overboard with one thing and kind of, again, pick and choose what's the best to highlight. I know a lot of people will put really general skills such as like good collaborator or like problem solver, which is obviously like beneficial and good to know about yourself and good to be able to do those things, but I don't know if that's like always necessary to put on a resume, because to me they just seem really general and something that anyone could like say they can do. I feel like for your skills and tools tab, you want to show exactly what you've done, how many programs or different, I mean, I'm talking in like graphic design and advertising speak, but anything that's directly related to what you're doing and again kind of stands out, I think is what you're supposed to feature there. Something I realized was better to read and see was to separate your position from the location of like where it is, like your title separated from your workplace essentially. So this is my like one before my most previous resume, and I would say like graphic design online marketing intern, comma, USF College of the Arts. So I think it's important to kind of break these up, and I'll show you on my other one. I realized I think my screen recording is cutting off some of this. Okay, sorry, I'm zooming out now. So on here you see I divided them. I put graphic design online marketing intern and put USF College of the Arts underneath along with the year. I think this is just better it reads better and it looks better because it eliminates something going again from edge to edge of the paper. So it's just a little tip I recommend when you are kind of reformatting. I'm so annoyed that it was cutting off like at the very bottom of all of them. I'm so sorry. I also think you should abbreviate where possible, specifically dates. As you can see, whenever I put like my time span of when I worked, I would abbreviate a month. So like September SEP. That just again saves space, keeps it really minimal, and I think it still obviously will get the information across while not overloading with extra text. Anywhere you see that you can like eliminate or make things shorter, definitely do so. That's just like kind of like the overall theme of this video. This kind of ties back to the whole incorporating design elements, but you should overall want to establish a brand for you, your work, and what you want to showcase. So I think, again, if that's through colors or patterns or just the way you want to lay things out and keep that consistent, with the fonts you choose and everything like that, you want to make a personal brand for yourself. And that's going to be the best way to market you as an employee and just the work that you've done and what you should be proud of that you accomplished. I just personally love doing branding stuff, so that's why I have so much fun with it. But it's so nice to just complete something that you think totally represents you and obviously puts your best foot forward while looking really professional and nice. I kind of talked about having a resume that's editable, and I think specifically in your profile section, you want to make sure that that can be tailored to whatever you're applying to, kind of as I already explained. So right now, since I'm not specifically applying to a job, my profile is very general. It says creative and innovative digital creator, applies self-taught and educated skills in social media, web management, film photography, and graphic design through positions in the advertising and digital marketing industries. So this obviously highlights all the things I'm good at and things I do every day, while keeping it really broad to just show like the industry I'm looking for and what I've already done work in. So I think just keeping it broad like that, if you're having it posted somewhere, is really good. And then later you could go and specify what job you're looking to apply for if you are going to send it to like through an application. But that's pretty much everything I have in regards to tips of how to enhance your resume. I hope this video was helpful. Again, I'm no expert. I wasn't in like the career classes or anything like that. But this is just something that I've learned as a marketer and as well as a student turned full-time worker, and my resumes have always landed me really awesome jobs. So I'm really thankful for that. I hope this video just inspired you guys if you want to go freshen up your resume a little bit and make these little changes that will really make a difference in the long run. I know this is a little bit different from some of my other videos, but I know some of my stuff is centered around work, so I thought this might be fun and something a little bit different. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.